Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here and do a video, and I kind of wanted to talk about self-image, because I feel like that is something that I battle with a lot, and in psychology there's not an excessive amount said about it except that you want to have a good self-image, right? And that sounds like, I mean, I guess that in and of itself is a lot to unpack there, but a lot, I don't know, like I've just seen a lot of just leaving it at that, like have a good self-image, whatever. It's like, well, that's so much easier said than done, and I feel like I am so much more secure about looking at maybe past pictures of myself or whatever. Yeah, because like even the candid photos of myself, I'm like, you know what, I was really pretty. I didn't have to feel the way that I felt back then. Why did I feel that way? Why did I let myself be so torn down? Who in my life was making me feel that way? And I could blame, there's so many things that I could blame. I could blame freaking middle schoolers for being mean. In middle school, I could blame high schoolers for always rejecting me. I could blame my brother for just being mean, But at the end of the day, the only person that I really have to blame is myself for being so incredibly insecure, right? Being so insecure and beating myself up. And, yeah, well, and don't get me wrong, I had my reasons, right? Like, we all have issues. And growing up, I don't blame myself for any of them. I was just a child. But being an active adult now, I still struggle a lot with insecurity, and I keep telling myself that one day, however many years from now, I'm going to look back on the pictures of myself and I'm going to say, wow, you were really pretty and young, and why didn't you enjoy it? Like, why didn't you do something with that? And I don't want to look back and think that. I also feel like I put a lot of value where there shouldn't be value, I tell myself, well, because I can't, maintain a stable relationship, then I am worthless, and it doesn't matter what I look like, whether I think I'm pretty or not. It doesn't matter because I can't sustain a relationship, and I kind of put value in that more than I put value in myself. And I kind of like judge myself off of that. Like, obviously I don't have very many friends, and we single, so it's like, I just kind of push those insecurities on myself. Like, why are you such a terrible person that nobody wants to hang out with you? That nobody wants to be around you? What are you doing that's so wrong? What could you do differently? You're not a nice person, clearly, because you don't have any friends. Whatever. Right? So all of those insecurities also get put out there, and then that kind of plagues how I see myself. And I hate that. I hate that so much. Because, like, thinking back on my previous self, 10 years ago, I was an incredibly nice person. Am I a nice person now? I don't, it depends, I do nice things, but that doesn't make me a nice person. You know what I mean? It's like, I do terrible things too, So they're, I don't know, terrible in the sense of, like, I'm not going out here, I don't know. Everybody has their own definitions of things. Obviously, I'm a goody-goody, and I don't do anything fun. So I'm not saying terrible as in not like I'm committing crimes or something like that, whatever. But it's like, sometimes there are things that I do that aren't nice, and then I'm like, wow, I'm not a nice person at all. No wonder nobody wants to hang out with me. I don't know. So it's just a lot of insecurities in that, and I hate that I focus so much on the people around me versus simply focusing on, myself and my values and kind of holding true to those. So, anyway, that's my next project. There are so many things that I have to work on within myself, but that is probably one that I want to work on next. Because I feel like sometimes the general consensus is if you hold yourself to a high standard and you appreciate yourself and your looks and your values and morals, then you're kind of a little bit full of yourself. That's kind of how you get portrayed, in my mind anyway. That's kind of how I think people would see it if I were to love myself more. But I think that's such a negative mindset. I think that I really need to love myself more if I want to be a better person, you know. Because at the end of the day, it's like, at the end of the day, there's nobody who can be there for me as much as I can be there for myself. You know, I've got my best friend, and I've got, you know, people who I love and care for. But if I can't even be there for myself, I can't expect anybody else to be there for me. And I can't expect to make any friends if I don't even like who I am. You know? So I'm trying to work on my image and just like loving what I see in the mirror, regardless of, you know, what I ate that day or whether or not I worked out or whatever. And I'm also going to try and start loving who I am on the inside, regardless of how many outgoing things I did, you know, and just liking me for me, flaws and all. I hope that makes sense. That was a very long-winded explanation, but it's fine. I'm just gonna leave it. We're just gonna, it's totally cool.